Hi there, I'm Rebecca Willumson. I'm the publisher of Fierce BioTech. I'm here today with Ariel Katz, co-founder and CEO of H1. Ariel, thank you so much for joining me today.
I'm excited to be here again with you.
So Ariel, to start us off, can you give us a quick refresh on what H1 is and what's changed about H1 since we spoke last a year ago?
Yeah, definitely. H1, a global platform of every healthcare professional and everything you want to know about them. Basically, everything you want to know about every doctor in the world, kept up to date every single day. What's changed since a year ago? A lot. Our job is to grow really, really fast and impact the world of healthcare really impactfully and quickly. And so the biggest things that have changed is we launched a new product called H1 Trial Landscape to help pharma companies, life science companies find diverse physicians and diverse patient populations to get involved in their clinical studies. Huge push in industry to help with diversity and inclusion around clinical trials. And we're the only product that's currently in market to help with that. We could say the race of the patients this doctor is seeing, the languages that this physician speaks, it just really is changing the game for the industry. So that's one big piece. We acquired our first business. So we acquired this company called Carevoyance, which basically does what H1 does, but for the med tech space. And it's an amazing team, amazing CEO, this guy named Anatoly that was running it. And we also expanded our doctor network where doctors are claiming their H1 profile and contributing information to it. And so a lot has changed and a lot has expanded since where we started, which is working with medical affairs teams.
Great. So sticking with your the Carevoyance acquisition, so what's new about H1 products for 2022? Do you have anything else that you're working on? And then ultimately, how do you think that acquisition will influence the growth of H1 over the next couple of years?
That's a good question. So Carevoyance, really exciting business. They help with commercial teams, so sales and marketing teams, identify doctors and physicians that are doing certain procedures and diagnoses in the med tech. They started in the med tech space. So knowing which doctors are doing certain procedures or doing the hip replacements, the knee replacements, using the Da Vinci surgical machine, whatever it is, so that med tech companies could properly target physicians and engage with them and educate them and sell to them their latest products. And it's an amazing product that Carevoyance has built, and we're excited to help expand that. I mean, we have a large commercial engine H1, and bring that to more med tech companies is really the focus with Carevoyance, and we think it's an amazing product to do so. What's new about H1 this year? Well, we're not going to stop innovating, so we're going to keep growing what we do. And a really big investment and focus this year is around diversity and inclusion and bring that to the forefront because everyone needs it and everyone talks about it. And so we're really excited about growing that product and helping out more life science companies achieve their diversity and inclusion initiatives with their clinical trials.
That's great. Now, I've seen a few press releases from H1 that talk about the network. Can you tell me more about what the network is and why does it matter to the industry and ultimately to healthcare providers?
Yeah. So this is something that we started. It was always in the original idea for H1, and we really started to grow it last year. And it's taking off, and we're excited about what's happening this year with it. So when I say the network, that means doctors coming in and claiming their H1 profile. So today we have over 10 million healthcare professionals profiled in H1, which is used by industry to identify the top key opinion leaders, principal investigators for studies, med tech companies to find the right doctors to sell to, all these different use cases. But the missing piece is a healthcare professional claiming their H1 profile and adding information to it, the same way you'd use LinkedIn. And we know this is the future because it's really hard to keep every doctor up to date every single day without contribution from the doctor. And you can get even richer information. You can know what languages that doctor speaks, if they're interested in running a clinical trial this year, if they're interested in running an investigator-sponsored study. And so we believe this network and having doctors engage with H1 is the future. And we're doubling down in this area, making bigger bets. We have a product called H1 Explorer where doctors can come in and claim their profile. And we're seeing it take off and excited about what impact that's going to have and bring industry even closer to physicians than they ever were before.
So when you last spoke with us, you mentioned you thought that H1 was going to change the way our industry makes decisions from people, patients, providers, pharma. So is H1 on track to fulfill that mission? And how do you think that's being accomplished?
Can I tell you the truth?
Yeah.
So when you look at H1 as a company, it's been really successful in terms of working with over 100 life science companies, raising hundreds of millions of dollars, providing jobs and to hundreds of people around the world of employees, which is amazing. but we're so far away from where we need our ultimate mission. Like we have an internal goal. 50% of clinical trials in 2 years are powered by H1's diversity and inclusion information. 50% of the clinical trials that are being run in the world use H1's information to help identify diverse patients. That's when we know we're making an impact. And we see that the trials that are using H1 have a more diverse patient population. Do we see that 50% of clinical trials have a more diverse patient population today than they did a year ago? We're not there yet. So it's very early for where we need to get to. So we're racing really, really fast to achieve our mission, but we are far from where we need to be. And so we set incredibly ambitious goals. 50% of the clinical trials are powered by H1's information in 2 years. I think we could get there or close enough. And that's how, so we're working as hard as we can to achieve it, but it's early still.
Right. Now, as you look ahead to the healthcare landscape and all the problems that need to be tackled, what's H1 doing in 2022 and beyond from a product perspective? And what problems are you most excited to solve?
Yeah, I feel like I sound like a broken record on this, but like I'm just passionate about more inclusive medicine for the world. We need it, and like the world needs it, and patients need it. And so I'm just so excited about that product expanding this year. And I'm also incredibly excited about the network and how it's growing and bringing physicians closer to industry and industry closer to physicians. There's generally like a talking past each other disconnect. Industry tries to, with all these omni-channel content plays, to reach physicians. Physicians get bombarded, but so I'm excited about bringing physicians and healthcare professionals closer to industry with our network, in addition to making medicine more inclusive. So I get really passionate and excited about those products and how we could help industry this way in 2022.
Well, that's great. Well, that is all the questions that I have today. Again, Ariel, thank you for joining me. It's always a pleasure speaking with you.
I really enjoyed it. It's good to see you again.